All right, guys, we finally got the federal funds announcement that they were dropping the rates. They did this on September 18th, which is right here. So how did the mortgage rates respond? Well, look at that. They responded very flat. There was no response really. And so a lot of people are scratching their heads like, well, why? I don't get it. Well, it's because the federal funds rate is often confused with being actual mortgage rates. But the truth is if you go Google, what is the federal funds rate? It's the rate that banks pay each other to borrow funds. And when the feds drop it, it's their way of trying to get in control of inflation, to bring things like credit card rates down, auto loans down. They're trying to make it cheaper to get in control of inflation. And so when this happens, bond investors go out and buy mortgage-backed securities anticipating the news. It's kind of like if you owned a bunch of stock in Apple, and Apple made the announcement that by the end of the year, we're anticipating laying off half of our workforce. Well, if they said that by the end of the year they were going to do that and you owned the stock, you might say, you know what, honey, I think we should sell some of our Apple stock. And that's really what happened, is that in July, you see down here, is when we first heard that the feds were going to do this. And so when they announced it, look what happened to the demand of mortgage bonds. Bond investors went out and they bought a bunch of mortgage bonds, and that's what's actually caused interest rates to come down. And the chief economist, Lawrence, at the National Association of Realtors said that the feds are expecting to do another drop in December, but all of this gain that we see here, the interest rates and them getting better, has already factored in both these announcements, the September one and the one in December. So the good news for you is that this time last year, interest rates are down almost a full percentage point. In fact, if we go look at the national average, we have the 30-year fixed rates at 6.2, the 15-year at 5.5. This time last year, we were a full percentage point higher. So if you're a buyer that got pre-qualified, or you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for rates to come down, this is your sign. Now is the time to get back in the market, rerun your numbers, and see how much home you can buy. Because if we start to see this number get to the mid fives, 72% of home buyers put home buying on pause last year because they were waiting for rates to get in the fives. And so if all these buyers come back to the market, what do you think is going to happen to home prices? Well, what happened to toilet paper during COVID when we ran out of toilet paper? The demand was high, the supply was low, they could increase the cost of toilet paper. It's the same thing with real estate. So what we want to do is we want to get you into that home and own that asset before it skyrockets in value, because the price you pay is permanent, the interest rate is temporary, and we are still in a shortage of inventory. So we want to get you into that home so you own it, because every 2019 buyer, trust me, they're loving their equity right now. If you waited until 2021 when rates were super attractive, you loved your rate, but you didn't love that you had to pay way over list price and compete for it, right? So there's always a way to get into real estate. What I want to do is help you get into real estate in the cheapest and probably the most stress-free possible way, right? So if you have any questions, reach out. That's your market update. Until next time.